today's session is one of the most important ones in this Congress. As you see, we have five distinguished presenters today. Each of them will tackle the hot issue of the water finance. Just let me brief you about Jordan and probably most of the countries in our region, where the water service companies or governmental utilities, all of them are suffering from low cost recovery, bad financial situations. جرب؟ Okay. Okay. هسه كمان شلون نصير نحكي؟ So, in this situation, it depends. As yesterday in the opening session, it was stated that the water utilities enjoy 40 to 50% governance, and the left is not within their hands, and mainly because of the financial constraints. Most of the utilities depend on the governments in our region, and the governments themselves are poor, and they do not pay the necessary amounts of money to enable those companies, those service providers to do a good job. But the utilities as well, they can do better job if they improve the efficiency. I think this is the overall subject of today. We will listen to a group of distinguished and very qualified, when I read your CVs, guys, I felt jealous, by the way. Really, all of them are very highly qualified and experienced. So I hope that we will benefit from their presence with us today. We will start our presentation. We will do, at the beginning, I suggest 3 presentations, then have Q&A, then move forward with the other 3. Is that okay with you? So we will start with Mr. Ahmed Hoseh and Ashraf Batayne in a joint paper. Then we will move to Mr. Miguel Garcia Jerez from the Union for Mediterranean. After that, we will move to Mr. Mohammed Ahmedi. Allow me to talk a little bit about each of them. For Mr. Ahmed Hoseh, I don't need to read. He is my colleague at the end. He is an experienced engineer, worked for more than 25 years in the operation, maintenance, and running water utilities, then moved to consultancy work with GIZ, worked in Jordan and abroad. His partner to the presentation, Mr. Ashraf Batayne, he is an experienced engineer, working currently as the technical director for Yarmouk Water Company. Here is Mr. Ashraf. Ahmed will present, and Ashraf will assist in responding to questions. Mr. Miguel, actually, he is the boss of Mr. Al-Mu'taz Obedi, who was supposed to be with us. Unfortunately, he's not here. So Miguel will present to us about the Union for the Mediterranean aspect approach to solving the financial problems. Now we go to Mr. Mohammed Al-Ahmedi. In short, Mr. Mohammed Al-Ahmedi, I can say he is multi-discipline person. He worked on everything, starting with political negotiations, environmental monitoring and evaluation, ending with engineering, consultation, and lecturing. He has a vast and very long experience. So please, Ahmed, you can step, Ahmed Hoseh, and start. else you can ask or comment in both English or Arabic. No problem with that.
خلاص مش مشكلة، ولو صفحة مش مشكلة، خلاص مش مشكلة، ما تهتم، خلينا نطلع على أول صفحة. أوكي، وبعدين نروح على الثانية. First of all, I will appreciate that you give me this opportunity to talk about our project in Northern Governorate in Yarmouk. And I will appreciate also all attendants who are here for attending this sessions. And I hope that it can be useful for everybody. The main topic of this project is performance-based contract, PBC, for revenue increase from sewage customers. The content of this lectures will have a project background. I think there is a problem with the showing the, okay. Is it a problem? Again, the same problem. Show. لا هي الكونتنت، بدنا نحكي عن الكونتنت. طيب بس ما هي مش طالعة.
مش طالعة على الشاشة.
طالعة على الشاشة، أنا ما عندي مشكلة هون.
على F7.
أنا ما عندي مشكلة على هون.
لا مش طالع، لا مش طالع. هلا.
هون طالعة.
Okay.
هلا طالعة. أوكي.
خلاص.
It's okay.
Okay.
Okay. So the content will be a project background. After that, legal basis for the project and the benefit of this project, general objective, and detailed scope of projects and the project status. And at the end, we will talk about the risk and challenge. Project background. This is a project is assigned for Araptic Giordane and Aqua as service providers for this contract. It is a performance-based sewage revenue improvement contract. This business case with technical and financial support of GIZ via a financial agreement. The cost of this contract, it will be fixed fees and about 760,000 GD and plus 17.4% is up bonus, including taxes. So legal basis for this project, it will be the formations of Yarmouk under law and Water Authority law and the Public Fund law, Amiri law, and the Public Health law and Environmental law. The surface area, it is Irbid Governorate, 3 ROUs including in this project. It is Irbid ROUs and Bani Ubaid ROUs and Ramtha ROUs. The benefit for this project. BBC project is implemented for the first time in the kingdom with the objective of strengthening economic performances of Yarmouk through improved revenue collections of wastewater sector in specific on uncontrolled connections fees. This is the main objective or the main benefit of this project. As we said, it is a financial aspect, so it will be to strengthen economic performances of Yarmouk. Establish after that a data update and data integration process. IT monitoring tools will be available also for other ROUs. Continuous capacity buildings during all stage of the project for Yarmouk related employees on the new systems to attain continuity of the process in the future. Financial benefits for Yarmouk, it will be benefit for Yarmouk, if we collected a revenue of 1.8 million, it will be 1.33 million GD. If the project will have a 3 million revenue collections, it will be 2.32 million GD. And in additional, we will have a regular additional income from additional running charge, annual agreement for non-water subscribers. A general objective of this project: collect all outstanding sewage fees and charges, increase the regular revenue collections from sewage, increase the basis regular sewage charges, running charges, establish annual agreement for all non-water customers, including collections of backdated dues. Improve also and update customer database record in different application via digital documentation of all existing and new sewer customers, identify and record all additional area in customer buildings after the connection process, and all illegal buildings to enable charging and collections of applicable fees and all payment dues, including fees, backdated running charge, and update, link, and establish all related database system to enable systematic follow-up for required sewers customers management. Also creating and implementing of monitoring tool and steering mechanism via establish a computerized system to automatically and systematically collect all regular and in-settlement payment fees and charges to all related sewer connections. Develop and automate reporting system using data from various IT systems and calculate the performance criteria which support Yarmouk to follow up, control, and steer the contract general time plan, schedule, and milestone. Clean sewer data system also. Continuous capacity building during all stages of the project for Yarmouk related employees on the new system to attain continuity of the process in the future. So, general scope of this project, it will have 6 cases. In these 6 cases, it will be including the collections of connections fees, backdated running charge, and future running charge. These 6 cases is illegal sewage connections, added floor, change of use type, annual agreement missing running charge, and the 6 cases, case number 6 is to report to Yarmouk the new customers able to connect. Detailed scope of the project, we have 4 phases for this project. It is mainly first phase. The first phase is to data cleaning and collection the data. The second phase is pre-field survey. The third phase will be field survey, and the fourth phase is cash allocation. So detail of this data collection will be obtained, handled, analysis, and assess sewer data system, SDS, conduct random quality check of the field and office SDS data, assessing and linking SDS with GIS and with the billing system X7. Added all missing data and develop the SDS data to include monitoring tool and to allow strong managing and the annual sewage agreement for non-water customer, other business procedures as required. Phase 2, it is pre-field survey. As we said, it is to have the field work procedures, process based on the best practice, coordinate and approve with Yarmouk the form for the field survey, plan and prepare survey crew teams, routes for 3 ROs, prepare public fund Amiri law for procedures and design model for documentation and monitoring of all related cases with Amiri law. Design and developed in settlement and payment model. For a field survey, we will have a crew, a survey teams to collect all required data, conduct survey work, including if the customer connected, ability to connect, compare data, additional floor, illegal cases, etc. We will that this survey work will be conducted. Update the data to include customer, the BK, the splitting of the land, parcel number of floor, national number, and all detail for the customers. Cash allocation, as I said, the main aspect of this project is to have also the cash allocation. It will be to improve the revenue from sewage customers. Will be calculate the connections fees and backdated running charge, calculate missing payment according to additional area or floor, print official bills with WAJ and Yarmouk letters, head to each sewage case identify, distribute these official bills, follow up with the customer, and obtain a written pledge from the all property owner of illegally connections properties, issue and distribute warning for disconnections. Take the action according to the customer response. If there is a response from the customer, if there is no, will be an action, disconnections of services, escalation to Amiri law, to the court cases, seal all water meter pertaining to the property, and etc. All these escalations will be carried for unresponsive customers. Reconnections of the surface for all customers who reach to settlement with Yarmouk, conduct repetitive inspections visited for disconnected water customer cases that have not paid sewage fees or backdated running sewage running charge according to the approved billing and collections. Report to team leader if there will be any observation related to environmental violation, illegal water uses, and disconnections. This is mainly the project and the topic and the scope and the objective and the benefit that will have for Yarmouk from this project. Now the status of the project is started from April 2018. And it have a durations for 2 years, and in these 2 years the status is the following. Out of 118,000 customers, we served about 40% of these customers were served, and cases identified from these cases is 10% of these identified as cases, as I explained, from these 6 cases. The income or the revenue from these cases is about 2.2 million GD is expected. But at the end of this project, the expected potential additional revenue, it will be 3 to 4 million GD for Yarmouk company. This is the project status. About 44% of build is issued, 22 is collect, 30% is agreement, undue agreement, and 47 is still due unpaid for the customers. Project status. Now this is the main issues is we have mainly the illegal connections is about 35% of these cases. Additional floor is about 47%, and able to connect. Unfortunately, I think by print it is not clear. It is 11% able to connect cases, and the other is the missing running charge and annual agreement and change of usage of type. The amount of money is mainly in IRBID, ROUs, It is all issues billed are about 1.3 million bills is issued. Approved for these about 700 millions, 700,000 bills. GD is approved. In Bani Abeid and other ROUs is the figures is there. The project status, as I said, the data it is have 4 phases. These 4 phases is including handling and analysis. We have 72% of actual of completions. A pre-field survey, 80%. We are finished. Field survey about 41 percentage. Okay. Cash allocation is 13.5 is the cash allocations. Risk and challenge. This is the last thing. Alaikum salam. The main risk and challenge for this project is the SD systems database in terms of the entered information. Data has many shortcomings and lack of clarity, and consider as the main challenge to complete the related task, cleaning SDS system in high quality. New billing system implemented during project X7 instead of COBOS. Economic situation in Jordan, and it is affected in the collections. BBC project is implemented for the first time in the kingdom, so monitoring tool system required and needed time to decide, recognize, and adopt, and this is give us a long time to implement this monitoring tool system. Delay in the field survey work progress due to different reasons, such as difficulties in the filling the survey form and with the citizens, or the houses closed, or etc. any other reasons. And the last risk is the project cross-functionality with the Yarmouk in case of the calculations of the bills. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. The questions will come later. So, because Miguel is in a hurry a little bit, you have a flight to catch. Please, Miguel, you can start now.
Good morning to all. Good morning, Engineer Hashman Khaldoon. Thank you very much for coming. Your presence actually makes me nervous, because I meant to start by saying that I am a strange speaker, because I am not so much here to share with you than to learn from you. So, and this is not what you expect usually from a speaker who confesses his ignorance of the subject on which he is speaking.
Experience from your side is accepted by us.
Okay. So maybe it won't go so bad. But why do I say this? And I will not be very long. But I represent the Union for the Mediterranean. It's an international organization, 43 member states, of which Jordan is the co-chairmanship. And Jordan is thus the co-chairmanship also of the Water Expert Group, and we have a very close relationship with the Ministry of Water and Irrigation. Our job is, among other things, in response to a ministerial mandate on water from all ministers in charge of water in the Mediterranean, to devise a financial strategy that can be useful to enhance financing for the water sector across the Mediterranean. So what we do is collect information, collect recommendations from across the Mediterranean on what the financial challenges, and our chairperson gave a very synthetic and very useful introduction on the reality, of where those challenges lie. We collect the regional information, we collect it, and we are working with international financial institutions, many of them are here today, and with other partners to mobilize technical assistance, to mobilize collective knowledge, eventually to mobilize financing, but also to push towards a certain type of reforms which everybody knows are needed, but which are not easy to do, and to push together, rather than have an entity which does not belong to the national consciousness, to do it from outside. And I think a union, as we are co-chaired by southern country and a northern country, I think we have that capability. But I don't want to tell you this about philosophy, because my intention is to invite you to take part in the work that we are doing, and I'll tell you now how. You know, for the Mediterranean, the issue of the financing of the water sector has always been, of course, a concern. The whole Mediterranean, north and south. Obviously, some countries worse than others, are more water scarce than others, but we are in a region, I come from Spain, which also suffers from irregular water provision, growing desertification in different areas. We all suffer from population growth, concentration on the coast, the issue of migration, refugees, in the case of Jordan, of course, the very major concern. Climate change is affecting all of us. Maintenance of the infrastructure is a major issue which was not addressed maybe in the past as it should have, and this is something which is catching up on all countries throughout the world. And we are looking to new sources of water for our population, including more expensive water, desalinization, water reuse, which can be has economic benefits as well. But in any case, in a way, the equation becomes more water equals money equals energy, rather than just water itself. So we need to look at ways of addressing these issues, and it is a common concern. And today, more than ever, the problems of water of your neighbor are your own problems also, because your neighbor's problems will have a repercussion on you eventually, for example, through the issues of climate change refugees, or eventually water refugees, which might also be the case. So what we have devised, working together with the European Union, working together with Jordan, but also with all the other partners in the Mediterranean, is a UFM agenda, a water agenda for the Union for the Mediterranean countries. This includes a financial strategy which is not to impose on countries what to do, but rather a series of recommendations which we agree to try and do, and to work together to find the means to do it. The basic elements of that strategy are to approach water financing in a strategic way, to try and make best use of existing financial resources. The project that was just described is not talking about additional money. It is money which is not being collected. So this is an example. It's not always more money, and I'll mention this why in particular, and to mobilize additional domestic and financial resources. I think clearly this is very important, because outside, and we have great cooperation from many of the international donors, and GIZ, who's financing this, but international donors do say that, look, it's not all about more money. It is not more about having an international donor provide money. It is not even about national budgets raising the standard, because national budgets are also very tight for many issues. It is also, and this is why the international financial institutions, in the documents that we work together, and then we work with the countries, say, okay, we need to find ways to make better use of the money we do have, and that is part of the issue. So for this, we are talking about. Thank you. We are working to a certain number of strategic objectives, and I won't go into all of them because you can probably imagine it, but of course, reforms to the water sector are part of it. Integrate water financing across water-related sector, a little bit of a nexus approach to the whole issue of water, to increase revenues internally collected, to use resources from international financial partners to leverage other sources of finance. We know, for example, that it is curious that the water sector has not benefited as much as one would imagine from climate finance. For people working in the water sector, it's like, where else would you put your money? The fact is that the water sector has not benefited to the level that one would believe. And there are reasons for this. Has to do a little bit with climate finance, the way it's structured, but also maybe the water sector has not adapted its project preparation capabilities to the complexity of climate finance, which requires a certain level of indicators benchmarking. So this is complex. But And what I would finish on, because I don't want to leave it at this very high level of generality, and you're all experts much more than me. We believe that this document, this strategy looking forward on what needs to be done at a general level, has to be brought down to the level of practitioners, to stakeholders. And we are fortunate to be organizing here with on the request and with the strong cooperation of the Ministry of Water and Irrigation, a consultation here actually here in the Dead Sea. I'm not sure where exactly, maybe in the same room, on the 19th of March, to take this financial strategy and test it, let's say, with your partners, the international financing institutions who are present here in Jordan, and many of them are your partners, precisely for the issue of financing, but also to deepen the knowledge that we as ourselves, that's why I said at the beginning that I'm here to learn, but for us to deepen the knowledge of the problems that not the ministry itself, but that the agencies, that the utilities, that the staff within the ministry, that the utilities and the networks of utilities like Aqua can put in, so that we have deeper ownership of that strategy, that we as UFM can take the lessons that Jordan has, the good and the bad, and share them with other countries. And we are thinking of doing similar exercises of national consultation in Tunisia. We have discussed with them, in Albania, who's also a member of the Union for Mediterranean, perhaps in Lebanon, to do this effort of having a very broad view of what is needed. So I will sit down now and go back to my role of learning from you, but I do want to leave with the message that a concerted effort to think strategically about water financing is not something only for ministries of water. It is for practitioners, for operators, because otherwise things will be lost. And I think there's a lot of people who are willing to make the intellectual, and then eventually you need to do the regulatory, maybe legislative, institutional changes, and then, inshallah, more money will be coming for the water sector, which we know is sorely needed everywhere. So thank you very much.
بعد هذه. And you are claiming that you are not the expert. And to talk after you, that's a heavy task. Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Khaldun, for the invitation. And thank you all for attending this session. مش حاطط النظارة أساساً.
تم نقرا عنك عشان ما
Good afternoon. I'm the CEO of the Palestine Water Regulatory Council. The subject I'm going to talk about is that last year we have conducted an economic viability for our service providers in Palestine. One of the reasons is simply that almost 70% of those service providers are losing money, and they are accepting that. And the customers, they believe that service providers are making money, but in fact it is the opposite. They are losing money, and as if they have accepted that as it is a losing service. We have thought as a regulator on how can we help them at least obey the law which says that services should be at least self-sufficient, sustainable, and based on a full cost recovery as much as possible, even though depreciation is not being considered in the tariff structures. Just a short description of what we are doing as a council, as a regulator. We issue licenses for services, and that is targets for service providers to achieve by the end of the year. We look into tariff structures and make sure that they respond to both the customer as well as the service provider, that both their interests are taken care of. We inspect compliance with the conditions that we put in the license. We develop performance incentives for service providers to make sure that all costs are they are within the tariff policy at least. Issue and disseminate the quality assurance standards, create database, and monitor water supply agreements, and addressing complaints. That's not an easy task, but at least we were able over the past 4 years to at least to handle most of them. The challenges that we face are severe, but to regulate a sector while the resource is not under your control, that is not at all possible. The resources are still controlled by Israel, and to claim that we are controlling and we are regulating, that's only within the available amounts that we have, to make sure that whatever we have, we make best use of that. And but at least the challenges are there. One of the challenges is that we are supposed to monitor all service providers. And when I say all, I talk about almost 500 service providers in Palestine. These are either municipal departments, village councils, few utilities, NGOs, almost 150 desalination facilities providers, and almost 72 wastewater service providers. We talk about almost 500 of those. Of course, of different sizes, different capabilities, and different readiness to be regulated. The financial challenges that these providers are facing first is low collection efficiency. I'll show some examples, but when I talk about low collection efficiency, I talk about even less than 10%. When I talk about the tariff and cost elements, most of these were neither approved by an official body or were taken based on what cash expectations are there. A decision by a mayor or a municipal department, but not based on actual study of the cost components and structuring. The management efficiencies, we talk about some of the service providers, they have personnel which exceeds more than what they have. Examples, some service providers, they employ 4 employees per 1,000 customers, some employ 25. Energy cost, in some, of course, because they are lucky, it is flat area, they don't need to pump, but in similar service providers, the energy cost goes up to 40, 50%, while others were able to reduce that to a good level. In terms of high non-revenue water, because that's a key issue in their financial stability, we talk about almost 52% in some localities, like Jenin, like Tul Karim, and that is quite close. The hidden subsidy, the issue is that customers believe it is a right, that the PA should cover part of the water cost. But even service providers, they may not know that there is hidden subsidy. One of the examples that most does not know about in Palestine is that the West Bank Water Department, which is the bulk water purchaser from Israel, they pay 3.6 shekels, almost $1 per cubic meter, and they sell it to service provider at 2.8. So there is almost 1 shekel subsidy for each cubic meter, and people doesn't know about that. And even some service providers are not aware of that. In terms of tariff approvals, some are waiting. I'm worried about the 5% where they have no tariff. One of the examples, and let me say that in Arabic, Miguel, أحد البلديات القرى مجلس قروية بسأله شو كيف تعرفي عندك؟ قال يعني شو تعرفي؟ بقول له كيف بتحاسب الناس؟ قال على الراس. بقول له كيف يعني كبير صغير؟ قال لا 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 لا، اللي عنده خروف شكل واللي عنده عجل شكل واللي عنده جمال شكل. بقول له راس ايش؟ قال راس الحلال. بقول له طب واللي ما عندوش؟ قال هذا بنحاسبوش، هذا فقير. يعني to me that is a tariff system, but that's the way he understands it. Somebody else said لما يصير معي شوية كاش بعطيهن للمختار شيخ الجامع. بقول له ليش شيخ؟ قال ما هو المختار. بقول له كيف بتثبت كيف بتحسب؟ قال أعوذ بالله عد ورا الشيخ. So these are only examples. I'm not saying that everybody is like that, but these are only extreme examples that tariff structuring is really worth looking at in a way that can really lead to sustainability. Just examples in the considerations, we have a checklist of almost 22 elements to be part of the tariff considerations. الفوكس مش كل هذا. هذا؟ هي مش تاتش سكرين هذه؟ لا. هذا مربع. The tariff considerations, what we have thought of and we are trying to apply, that include customers' ability to pay, the tariff blocks, types and size of the service provider, non-revenue water, cost recovery, a number of issues that we need and we think that we should consider in compliance with the tariff by law. But of course, look at the how different service providers look into these elements and considerations, which means there is no unification of even structuring the tariff. And that makes life not easy at all to try to improve the tariff structures. What we have thought of is categorization of service providers. Even if we do that, there are still lots of variations between different service providers on how they structure their tariffs. But the issue is that when a mayor decides a tariff increase or decrease based on the cash flow that he is receiving, that is an issue. When you look at the cost variations, again, it is one small country, but there are water being sold at 1.2 shekels and others are at 8 or 9. That does not at all reflect any fairness in the water issue. It is not the problem of those who are living in Ramallah to pay 8 shekels per cubic meter compared to 1.2 shekels in Kalkili, for example. It is one country, one system, but the costs are really vary. And we have thought of having one national fund where everybody pays equal to that fund, and that fund gives or distributes service providers based on the cost. Look at the collection efficiency. When you talk about incentives, my recommendation to the government of Palestine, that those whose collection rate is less than 20%, you don't need to support them anymore. Let them suffer for at least 1 year to make sure that they do some effort. But having collection rate of less than 10%, that does not at all enable them neither to sustain, nor to maintain, nor to pay salaries. They can do nothing. And we thought that it's not punishing, but at least to show them that their performance is being monitored. We talk about the operational cost to make sure that we can interfere in the right direction. We go into details on the cost elements per cubic meter and try to interfere at that level. Is it energy? Is it personnel? Is it purchased water? Is it operational and maintenance cost? We go into that, and that is when I say we license, we go into targets and we try to meet those targets through the analysis that we are doing. In terms of operational cost, again, some are selling water way less than the operational cost itself. And that's a good example. Some are really selling water at a losing prices. The water subsidy, again, that's a big issue, but the issue is that most, they don't know that there is subsidy, and customers believe it is their right to get the subsidy. As if water is free, we always say the water is a commodity that is costing some money. It is free from God, but as long as it is in the service, it has a cost. One of the roadmap initiatives that we have thought of is to go into prepaid meters. So far, it is only 50,000 prepaid meters, but all of those who have installed prepaid meters, well, their collection efficiency is 100%. And they are even collecting part of the old debt. So if I show the collection efficiency, some have exceeded the 100% because these are the ones who collect 100% because of prepaid meters in addition to some of the old debt. And that is the trend is really increasing and improving in the West Bank and even Gaza. Now, this is one of the subsidies that people even doesn't know about. The wastewater natural flow in Palestine goes towards the Green Line. The minute it crosses the Green Line to Israel, they start charging us. They started in 2000 charging us at only 2 million shekels. Last year, it was 111 million shekels, and that is a direct cut-off from our taxes. Even the Minister of Finance, they only received the note that we have deducted that amount. That is subsidy that the PA is paying and people are not even aware of. The amount of water which was given to us through Oslo is still the same. But the amount of deductions for wastewater has increased from 2 million to 111 millions last year. That's again a subsidy that people are not aware of. Now, we have thought of a number of interventions. The first was how to tackle the large number of service providers. We took about 500, and we thought of that regrouping those or amalgamation into utilities might be at least to consider economy of scale, that might be one of the solutions. To have benchmarks and targets for individual service providers. It's not just you are providing the service. There has to be a target, there has to be a benchmark, and we are working on that and reporting on that. The prepaid meters, although some the customers protection groups are saying this is not fair, this is against the law, this is against the human rights, but that is still a service. The operational capacities, again, those who claim that they know it all, but their non-revenue water is 50%, they know nothing. And those who claim that they are capable and their collection efficiency is 9% or 10%, these are not really doing their job. And those who employ 25 persons per 1,000 customers compared to 4 or 5, that's again not doing their job. Value chain analysis, we are doing that. A number of issues that we have thought of, we believe can come up with some improvements. We talk about economy of scale, prepaid meters, non-revenue management impacts. We have thought, but at least improve customers' database. That's an issue that service provider doesn't pay attention to. Even their database for their own customers is not updated. What we have made, we have tried to provide a database for all service providers, which is now functional, covering 233 variables and directly connected to the World Bank IPNet, which means that all our service providers, they upload their data for the past 5 years. They can compare themselves with themselves over time. They can compare themselves with others within Palestine, and they can also compare with them with almost 11,000 municipalities around the world. And that is open. This is the last, I think, the last one. The potential improvements, I would say that regardless of the improvements that we claim we can make or not, water in Palestine is still a political issue. And unless we have control over the resource, whatever we do is, I can't say meaningless, but at least is not the whole story. As long as the resources are controlled by Israel, we talk about 85% of resources are controlled by Israel. So whatever we do, at least to make sure that the non-revenue water that of the amount that we have, at least is managed in a good way. Thank you very much.
Okay. 3 great presentations. I can classify them one very high political level, one practical level for the managers and directors, and one for the people who do real work on the ground. Now we will have something about, we can say 8 minutes for questions. So if you have questions, please raise your hands. Please. Mike,
Yes. السلام عليكم الأولا. محسن عبد الجيد، مدير عام المتابعة المالية للشركات التابعة بالشركة القابضة لمياه الشرب والصرف الصحي بجمهورية مصر العربية. أنا بس في أول استفسارين من مستر حسام ثم استفسار من دكتور محمد. مستر حسام تكلم على العناصر اللي بتهم أو تحسن التمويل، فيها عناصر كتيرة قوي جميلة، ولكن في استفسار هو حط من ضمن العناصر الأساسية زيادة رسوم الصرف الصحي. أنا كنت عاوز أستفسر، هل زيادة الرسوم الصرف الصحي في الشركة اللي هي محل التجربة بتاع حضرتك هل هي تعريفة سيادية ولا لا دي الشركة هي المتحكمة فيها؟ ولو سيادية دور الشركة في ايه في مقترح التعريفة الجديدة وايه الإجراءات اللي أخذتها؟ ده أول حاجة. الحاجة الثانية حضرتك اتكلمت عن تغطية الإيرادات للتكاليف. تحقيق معادلة التغطية. حضرتك كل اتجاهك على الإيراد، تحسين إيراد تحسين إيراد، لكن المعادلة ذو شقين، ترشيد إنفاق ثم تحسين إيراد. هل من رؤية حضرتك ان التكاليف مثاليه في الشركه اللي حضرتك واخدها محل تجربه عشان كده مش عاوزه تحسين، هنركز على الجانب بس الايراد ولا لا؟ ولو هناك قصور في التكاليف او في انفاق او يعني عاوزين ترشيد في التكاليف، ايه خطه حضراتكم؟ الاستفسار بقى من دكتور محمد. حضرتك المثال اللي قلته على التعريفه او الموظف اللي هو مش عارف يعني يحدد الكميه والقيمه للمستهلك، هل التعريفه اللي موجوده عند حضراتكم محدده الفئات وموظفه صح وده تقصير من الموظف نتيجه لتقصير مثلا في التدريب او خلافه، ولا لا ده هم اللي بيحددوا التعريفه كيف تراءى لهم؟ شكرا.
مهندس احمد جاوب على الشق الاول. بليز.
السلام عليكم، يعطيك العافية.
If I may repeat the question just for the sake of there were you are it's okay. Go.
اوكي. اول شيء يعطيك العافية، شكرا على الأسئلة، لكن احنا مشروعنا ما له اي علاقة مع التعرفة، لانه المشروع هو يتعلق بضبط الاستخدامات الغير مشروعة بالإضافة للأديشنال بيلدينجز، الأبنية الإضافية المضافة على توصيلات الصرف الصحي. فهو هذا المشروع أو هاي الجزئية من تحسين الإيرادات له علاقة بضبط الحالات المخالفة وعملية حصرها، وبالتالي تحقيق قيمة